Are we live yet? Are we there yet?
Yes. All right, everybody. Welcome to what will now be our regular experience, but this is the first time we're doing cocktails and cash flow. Cheers. My
Oh,
name is
wait, don't
Alanna
go
Kai.
live yet. I'm just kidding.
Too late. Cheers. My name's Alanna Kaivalya, and this is Erin Paul. We are the founders of the Satisfied Success Business Academy, and we've been thinking of fun ways to reach our amazing audience of women who are figuring out the best ways to increase their cash flow, create a sovereign business, and bring their magic into the world and monetize it. And we help them to do that through our online community, the Satisfied Success Business Academy, as well as our incredible platform system that is based off of high level. And we're helping ladies every day build their businesses and bring their magic to life. Anyway, we have a long history, Erin and I, of cheersing and happy hour from even across the country. When we met, I was living in New York, and this is kind of how we'd end our day. So we thought we'd bring it to life in our business.
That's how we started our day one time.
I mean,
Should we tell
yeah,
the San Diego?
no,
Yeah.
no, slow reveal for our audience. Slow
What
reveal.
was the
We'll
name?
gotta tease it out over time. But one of the things that I really love about this business that we're doing, I've been coaching women for a decade in building their online businesses because it makes it easier for a woman and her life to scale up, to scale down, to run it. It creates, 100% of the cash flow goes to her. It's her own sovereign space in the world. And I find that what a lot of women like to do in the world is help people with their gift. They have something to share, they want to share it. And so the best ways to do that really is through an online business with something like coaching, a membership, or even online courses. And so when Aaron and I started collaborating on doing this, because he's got the systems, the tech, the background, the funnels, the automations, the pages, all the things that basically women kind of like don't love to do. And I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying it's not our favorite thing. It's not my favorite thing. I like to be in the creative side, which is why we partnered. But Aaron and I have conversations all day long about how to help these ladies. And we had a conversation today, and we were like, let's bring it to our cocktails and cash flow sesh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, let me just throw this in there. While obviously I'm not a female, so I can't speak from a point of view.
Spoiler
Uh,
alert, everyone.
and I've worked with a lot of business owners, but only a handful. Actually, I could probably count on that I've worked closely with. I can count on one hand how many women that I've worked with since, when I really started consulting, which is like
Yeah,
back
yeah.
2008 or whatever. But everybody, like the problems are unique. Like it's not really, I can't say that it's only females, although there are some, you know, unique things that women face that men
Oh,
don't
there
have.
definitely are. That's why we have this business. I mean, I think that the way that women run businesses, the way that we like to run businesses, our strengths, they just are different. And that's not a differential. That's not a hierarchical thing. And
Mhm.
I love that you named actually, because you have worked with a ton of people throughout the years. I love that you named that there haven't been that many women. And my guess is the reason is because there aren't enough women out there doing this. We all have something incredible to offer, and this is why we are leading the charge and helping women get on the front edge of this incredible wave, this
Mhm.
platform, this ability to build an online sovereign business. But, what we do is we try to coach and lead women into building businesses that work with who they are, that play to their strengths, that allow them to stay in their feminine flow and energy. And I'll just name it. The thing that Aaron and I were talking about today is how difficult it is for women to like sell or pitch. And I hear this all the time in my coaching that women say to me, "Oh my gosh, I've got something incredible to offer, but I don't want to be salesy and I don't want to, pitch it." And like I get enough emails in my inbox that are sort of that bro marketing flavor of, I mean, I can't even do it, Aaron. What is that flavor? It's a weird energy that generally ladies aren't into. So we have a strategy for you.
It's also like it's also not good. Like, look, a lot of that just comes from really bad advice. It,
Right.
it truly does. I mean, look, anytime that you see a dude on the internet that's standing in front of a fancy sports car and, showing off his Rolex and talking about how much money he's
Yeah.
made, you know, this is not a real marketer. Like, understand that from the beginning. Like, this is not what you're trying to. I love the hand things that they
I
do there.
know. Zoom is doing this now. Anytime you put your hand up,
Yeah,
it lets you know you're putting your hand up.
I think you can do hearts too.
Can you?
Yeah, I've done it by accident, believe it or not. Don't ask me what I was doing.
That's cute.
Um, but yeah, like this is remember that a lot of what you see online is someone modeling after someone else that they saw do something and they thought that that person was successful. So you have this ongoing
Right.
cycle of people learning to do something the wrong way,
Right.
and then people keep doing it the wrong way.
And it's very much a keeping up with the Joneses kind of mentality, isn't it? Like, oh, this person said they made $10,000 a month, so I'm going to say that I made $12,000 a month.
Right.
And, unless you see their actual bottom line bank statements, you don't know that that's true.
You don't know that it's true. And also, let me tell you something. There's some things out there like, if you're trying to hire like an ads manager or something like that, you see some of these guys on there, they're like, flaunting their cars and their lifestyle and everything. Well, let
Yeah.
me tell you, like probably the dudes that know the most and that can really, build out a Google Ads campaign, it's some person that's barely getting by living in Ukraine. Okay. They're probably
Yeah.
17 years old and they know more about like ad campaigns than all these guys that are talking all this trash online.
Because they've been living it and breathing it.
Well,
Yeah,
because
you're probably
they're,
right.
they're nerds,
Yeah.
okay? These are people that they love to dig into analytics. They love to
Mhm.
tear things apart. These are people that, would be doing in the sciences if they weren't doing ads.
Right.
So it's not what it appears to be on the outside. So
Wait, it's
once
not as sexy as it looks?
no, I don't think it looks sexy. I mean, I mean,
Says the guy who was my ads guy for years.
yeah.
Come
Well, I
on.
mean,
Come
the way that
on.
they promote it,
You made it, you make it look sexy. And the other thing I find too these days is like there's such this culture of this kind of salesy, pitchy stuff right now, that I actually see women trying to fit into it as well. There's a couple of women I see usually on my feeds that they come up all the time, and it's almost like they've just put themselves in the man's role where they're, in their really sleek outfit with their really fancy background, or they're skipping across a street in their Louboutins in New York City with, an ad image of themselves up in Times Square. And look, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I'm not here for that. But I do know, at least the women that I work with, and even myself, none of that really feels authentic to me. And I still have something to share. I still have a really successful monetizable business. Many of the women that I work with also have really successful monetizable businesses. And it doesn't take that kind of sleek showmanship to be successful in this business. And we want to tell you how to do it so that it feels authentic, so that it feels real, and so that it keeps you truly in your feminine energy. Um, you know, Here's my fun, shameless plug. I literally wrote the book on how to be a satisfied woman. And in order for women to stay in that feminine energy, one of the primary qualities of a feminine woman is the ability to receive, to be receptive. So, what we want to do in our business is not go out and chase after the money, which is typically what this style of sales pitchy stuff is. We actually want to create the space in our business, in our world, in our systems, in our lifestyle to call it in, to receive, almost like an invitation. And it's not a passive invitation. It's not like, oh, do you want this? Or like, if you want it, like maybe you could try it. That's a weak invitation. We want a strong invitation. We want to show up and be like, this is who we are. This is who we serve. This is what we do. Are you in? You coming? It's kind of
right.
like more of that energy.
Yeah. You want to make it compelling. You want to talk about facts, not fiction.
Mhm.
And you need to be yourself. Like
Yes.
the way that you say stuff is going to be way more important than the things that you say because
Yeah.
people can tell if you're being real or not.
Yeah.
You notice that in music too. You know how sometimes you can listen to somebody and you're like, they wrote that.
Oh,
They
yeah.
sat in their basement and they wrote that with
Yeah.
tears and blood and shame, like, and it feels authentic.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think about like my favorite artist of all time is Warren Zevon. Some people can't stand listening to Warren Zevon. Like he's got one of those voices that, it's kind of polarizing. But no one can say that the man wasn't authentic and
Right.
genuine. He sang, he wrote songs about his life and you felt it coming out from deep inside of him.
Yeah,
That's what I want in an email campaign.
for sure.
We're all have that opportunity to be an artist and to write something that strikes a chord in other people because we're talking about life and
Yeah.
where we've come from and where we're at and how it felt along the way.
And not to be corny, but I mean, that is the literal recipe to success. No one's going to
Mhm.
buy, your concept. They're going to buy your heart. I think it was Simon Sinek that said they buy your why. Why are you doing this? Like, where is it coming from? Because,
Mhm.
one of the things I know about the women that I work with and the way that women like to work is they want to share. They want to transform someone else. They want to help them. And for the most part, the kind of businesses that women are creating, especially in the online space,
Mhm.
with us through, the work that we do or, through anybody really, they're basically trying to help the woman that they were 5 or 10 years ago. They've been through something. They've gone through a challenge. And trust me, shit is still challenging out there for women. So when they go through that, boy, they want to spare other people from that same struggle and pain. And so they're typically talking to themselves 5 or 10 years ago. They know what the struggle is. They know what they did to overcome it. They know what they did to alleviate it. And it's
Mhm.
almost like we're all giving each other a leg up with this kind of work, which is so critical and essential. And when you can speak from that place, that's not salesy, that's authentic. That's not pitching, that's authority. That's
Yeah.
expertise. And when like what I tell my women who, when they're about to put their offer out there, we've crafted their system, they've got their business, they know what they want to do, they know who they want to help, they know who they want to serve. They kind of get stalled around, well, how do I actually convince them to give me money? And I say, well, it's easy. You don't sell. You don't sell. If you know in the core of your being that the work you do is going to transform the life of that person, if you know absolutely that what you have is going to help them, you just say that. You
Yeah.
say that with conviction. You talk about what it's going to do for them, and you don't have to convince them. Like, you know it, they'll hear it.
Mhm.
Your confidence around it is what they'll buy into.
I did that. That's an important word. Um, you talked about transform, and I
Yeah,
was thinking about this a lot, um, as it so happens, just earlier today. And transformation, if you really think about it, okay, I don't care what you're buying. Anytime you buy
right.
something, you're buying transformation.
Yeah,
So once you accept that, once you recognize that, and we understand, right?
yeah,
Like the gurus will tell you that there's logical buyers and there's emotional buyers, and then the really good marketers will tell you, no, 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 no. We all buy off of emotion.
yeah,
There's no logic. It's all emotion.
yes,
Now, once you accept that to be true, there's two ways that you can go. You can take advantage of that, or you can be genuine and actually be a decent person about it and say,
connect with it.
hey, how do I deliver transformation? Because if I
Yeah,
can get good at delivering transformation, literally I can sell anything in the world, right?
correct. Yeah,
I just have to know how to turn it into transformation.
yeah.
That's it. That's compelling on its own. Um, there's an old thing. I forget who said this, but it's so true, and that is nobody cares about us except for us.
I mean,
What
I care.
people
I care about you, Aaron.
Well, what I'm talking I'm talking on the surface, right?
Oh, okay.
Like when
Right.
you see someone pitching you something, like they don't care about your car or about your clothes, right?
Yeah.
They care about what they want, how they're going to get it, what
Yeah.
life is going to be like after they have it.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that they care about.
Yeah.
So lean into, recognize that to be true, lean into it, and then just be a good person about it. Like you can get real evil with this stuff. Like you can get good at understanding how to be a great marketer and
Yeah.
just get people to send you money like it's going to feel like they're just throwing it at you all the time.
Uh-huh. I've had that
Uh,
happen so many times in my past working
mhm,
on this, not this business currently, but my first business, it was a lot of learning curve. I was doing it way before it was cool, before we had the systems and programs, patching things together, before really anybody knew what they were doing. And I ended up, because there were times in that business that I needed help. I needed outside help. And I can't tell you how many times I had a really great sales pitch. Yes, Alana, I can do this for you. Yes, Alana, I can deliver on this promise. Yes, Alana, I can build your business in this way. Yes, Alana, whatever.
mhm.
And I'd be like, oh my God, perfect. They have the solution to my problem. And then they couldn't follow through.
Right.
They took my money, but they didn't deliver. And sometimes you don't know that until you get to the point where the delivery is critical and then there's nothing to
Mhm.
show for it. And those are big mistakes. But I
Yeah.
think, when we work with our women who are building these authentic sovereign businesses, all they want to do is deliver. And I think there's, at least I run into, and you can let me know if you feel like this is true, but a lot of the women that I coach, so much of the coaching of this is giving them the confidence that they can transform someone. And part of that is really owning the value of the work that they do. And here's what I mean by that. Like I work with a lot of different people, but they tend to be in the kind of the service industry. So therapists, coaches, yoga teachers, course creators, things like that, in a lot of different areas. And they come to me and they say, all right, Alana, I either want to revamp my business or build my business. And, I do aromatherapy and this particular kind of therapy or this particular kind of coaching, and I just want to offer that. And I say, no, the world has enough yoga teachers. The world has enough therapists. The world has enough conscious creators. No one gives a shit about that stuff. They're not going to buy your yoga class. They're not going to buy your coaching program. What they're going to buy is what you transform for them, what you make easier for them. And you might do it through yoga. You might do it through aromatherapy. You might do it through foot reflexology. I don't care what modalities you're bringing to the table. I care who you are, how you're going to connect with them, and what you're going to change for them. And that is the core of your business. You could be selling underwater basket weaving courses, but if that's the key to getting someone through their day because they're in such a high stress environment, they're going to do that underwater basket weaving with you. I actually have a coaching client right now. She does mindful crafting,
Mhm.
knitting, really
Yeah.
like literally knitting with people.
Yeah.
And she took her clients through 6 weeks worth of work. And at the end, we were talking about how she's going to pitch and market it. And I said, well, what did they say to you about what that class did for them at the end? And it wasn't, gosh, my quilt turned out so lovely. It was, this was the first time in my life that I felt grounded and safe in my body.
Yep.
That's what
Exactly.
we do.
Yeah, focus on the transformation, and it goes back to like why the people that let you down, right? The
Right.
people that you it was easy to get your buy-in because they worked so hard on the pitch. They
Hmm.
worked on the pitch before they worked on the transformation.
Right. Yep.
Be the person that works hard on the transformation first.
Yep.
Then your pitch, that's easy. That's going to come natural. And here's where the compounding effect of this. When you're really good at the pitch, right? You're constantly pitching. Work is never going to end because your clients are a revolving
Revolving door.
door.
Yeah.
They're coming in and they're going out. But when you deliver transformation, they stick with you and they give you even more money.
True.
They ask to buy the next thing that's
True.
coming out, right?
Yes. Yes.
How many of us like originally, right? Like we bought something like from Ryan Dice, like back in the early days, right? You bought that one thing, but then he delivered so well
Yeah.
that you're like, what's the next thing? I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us that we were hungry for that next thing that he was going to put out there that we could buy because of the transformation.
Right.
You
That's
know,
true. I mean, statistically speaking, got that one out finally. Um, Anyone who spends even $1 with you is 80% more likely to spend more money with you in the future. So your customers, your buyers, the people who opt in with you, they're lifer. You deliver on your promise and they're lifers. That you've
They
already
are.
built know, like, and trust. They've got skin in the game. They've made an investment. That's an enormous win. So, one of the things that I always encourage, that we do, like a core part of our system, our business model, is to encourage women to build memberships
Mhm.
because that is a low lift, easy way for them to build that kind of know, like, and trust, to have those people who've given them just a little bit of money, and then they
Mhm.
can leverage that into higher ticket items really easily. You don't have to sell to those people.
No, no, and at the end of the day, what did we just do? We found the best vehicle, the
Yeah,
fastest vehicle to deliver transformation. That,
exactly.
that's the only thing that a membership is. It's just the vehicle is faster and more comfortable than any other vehicle to deliver transformation.
I'm just trying to think about the fastest and most comfortable vehicle I've ever been in.
Mm. Well, fastest might not always
I
be
know. I'm that.
most.
Yeah, you're right. Because my half brother had a Dodge Viper. The kind with the 5-point racing harness, and that was by far the fastest I think I've ever been in. But I think the
Mhm.
most comfortable has been in a boat.
A boat.
Yeah, but it wasn't the fastest.
I haven't even been on a boat yet. I mean, not like a real boat. I've been on a pontoon boat and
Oh, you
rowing.
landlocked
There.
landlubber, you.
Yeah, I'm very much. I'm a person of the ground, really. Yeah.
Like a hobbit?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like the idea of sailing is one of the most scariest things.
Yeah,
I equate it to like, okay, I'm just gonna float around in
yeah.
the ocean,
Well,
and I
there's
don't.
a little strategy to it. Don't worry, there's a little strategy.
That's why I'm scared because I don't know what I'm doing out there.
Well, that's why you go with a competent sailor who can, assist you in navigating properly toward the island.
Mhm.
I have a sailboat and I love to sail to Catalina here in Los Angeles. It's one of my great pleasures. And when I first got the boat, and this is a relevant story, I promise. We're gonna land the plane on this one. When I first got the sailboat, it was deep in the pandemic. It was kind of my way through the pandemic, really. It gave me something to do that was outside. And I had only just learned to sail, and I went through the process of learning to solo sail the boat so I can go across those 32 nautical miles from Marina del Rey all the way to Catalina. And it felt like an incredible accomplishment. And my sailing instructor, who is such a beloved human, he got me ready to do this, right? He literally, this is where the saying comes from. He showed me the ropes, although technically there's no ropes on a boat; they're all lines. But I digress. And he said, he was so proud of me. He showed up on the docks that first morning I went on my first solo sail. He gave me a little gift to see me off. It was a big deal. I had two other female sailors in their own boats also going over at the same time. We had our walkie-talkies checking back and forth. Radios, not walkie-talkies. I'm not 12. Um, and his rule was, he goes, Alanna, I'm so proud of you for being a solo sailor. But what's the first rule of solo sailing? It's take someone with you. Take someone with you.
Hmm.
And he used to worry so much because, I mean, 32 nautical miles is not a tremendous distance, but you do go over 2,500 feet of open ocean. And depending on the fog in California, there is a time where you
Ooh.
can't see either shore. You
Yeah.
can't see the land you left and you can't see the island that you're going to. And I will say it is butt clenching
Oh,
some
I bet.
moments, you know,
Yeah.
and I've learned a lot from it. Look, I was proud that I did it. I was proud that I did it. And here's where it comes back around. Okay. And I've had a lot of experiences in my life that I've had to go through alone, including building my first business, including solo sailing, including living by myself in New York for many years, all of these things. And I think that that rule of sailing applies to life and it applies to business. And I find this with women. This is why coaching is such an incredible asset to a woman building a business because it is just too hard to do it on your own. When you're building a business, especially when you're building from a passion, from a creative pursuit, from something that you believe in, that is tapping fully into your feminine energy. But the actual systems build, the tech, the writing the emails, the doing the automations, the setting up the funnels, the getting the email newsletters out in time. My God, that is fully in masculine power automation mode. And when we are too far into that mode, oh, damn it, I raised my hand. When we are too, when we are too far into that mode, it takes us out of the creativity that is actually the lifeblood and abundance generator of the business.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to receive that money that the business is meant to earn if all we're doing is the
Mhm.
masculine side of the things, which is all the systems and the tech. Not saying that we can't, not saying that we won't be good at it, but I know from personal experience that when I've had to be in that all by myself all the time, I don't have time to do the things that are what actually make the business money and make it tick.
Well, I think too, like, I mean, you enjoy like composing emails, like writing
Well, that's because
this,
I'm a writer. Yeah.
right. Like you enjoy that.
Yeah, I do.
What you don't want to do is build out the sequence and the
No,
timing and
no, I do not.
all of that stuff. But
Right.
the magic, right? The most important part of the email sequences are what you have to say and how you compose it. That's
Yeah.
the magic. The
Yeah.
rest of it is just the tools. That's just the tech. And
Well,
people so
and
they
like
think
any good
too much
relationship,
about
Aaron, you have to have both, right? You have to have the
it.
complement of the masculine and feminine in order for it to work, and I love that. Um, but yeah, the tech is critical, and eventually once it's all set up, the tech actually does make things easier. Those are your systems. Those are I love that they're called funnels. That's such a feminine word, right? Those are the things that draw people into your world, that allow them to pay you the monies, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Um,
it
it's
is.
essential.
It is. And the more that we can embrace, like, I don't even want to say like tech, like when we break it down, like here's what's important. It's the composing of the things that we say,
Yeah,
right? That's thing number one that's really, really important.
the
And then the
message.
second thing is automation. Just think of the
Oh,
tech side as that's automation. It's so
yes.
that I do this once and then I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's going to continuously do it again and again and again at the perfect time
Yeah.
with the perfect person,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
You want to know, like, you just need the 30,000-foot view
Yeah.
of what that automation is doing, right?
And
And
just
don't
let it
get
do
all
it.
confused in the, like if someone says to you, like, let's build this with direct behavioral response, right? Like you're
Yeah.
like, what the hell is that? Like, but then if I say to you, hey, let's make sure that the automation is built in such a way so that if someone does something, what they perform an action,
Yeah.
we follow up with them based on their behavior, based on what they do, right? If we
Yeah.
know that they opened the email, right, but they didn't click the link or they didn't do anything after that, we know, well, we should probably reach out to them again,
Hmm.
and say, hey, why didn't you want this? Why didn't you do this thing? Why didn't, did you not want this thing? Did you, like understanding the behavior of your audience
Right.
is
It's kind
really
of like
important.
the way, I mean, it's automating what we used to do back in the day when there were like Avon saleswomen or door-to-door salespeople where, if you get the door to open, oh my gosh, that's a house you're definitely going back to. And if you have a little conversation with them, but they're not quite ready yet, you come back the next day with some more products. And if you
Yeah.
come back the next day with some more products and they're kind of into it, then, you give them some samples. So we're able to automate all that now. And my goodness, what a gift. When I first started
Mhm.
in 2015, I was the webinar queen. I got lots of fun awards for the webinars I used to do for my business, selling my stuff. But I had to show up live every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Every Sunday night, it was me doing the same webinar over and over. And then finally, there was a program that allowed me to automate it, where it was still every Sunday night, but I could actually just throw up a video and it would just play the video of the one that I'd done the week before because I said the same thing all the time. And then
Yeah.
the program evolved to where people could show up whenever they want and they
Hmm.
would be able to watch the webinar and then get all the follow-up emails. And it was like a balm to my soul, unlocking those evergreen systems for my business. Because one of the things that is so stressful in an online business I mean, for women, probably stressful for everybody, but I know certainty and predictability can give women a lot of comfort and structure
Right.
and
Yeah.
like the freedom to relax. Like, okay, we do know when the next paycheck is coming in. That's fine. If you don't have those automated evergreen systems set up, you never know when the next paycheck is coming in. And I will tell you from experience, that is a death-defying and diabolical mode to be
Yeah.
living in.
Yeah. Another thing that I think is important as long as we're talking about automations and, we can't not mention AI. It's an important thing today and we use it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but there's a hard stop. Like there's a point now in the world that we're living in where we can, but we shouldn't. And I think about like the way that you can automate webinars today. Like
Yeah.
you can pre-record it and now it can act as if it's totally live.
Right.
Like it'll have the AI will like auto reply to people who comment.
Okay.
It'll do all of this stuff to make it look like it'll create fake conversations,
Yeah.
fake people praising you inside the webinar, right? And the, there's a certain point, I think, where we have to step back and say, okay, we're drifting away from being authentic now,
Authenticity. Yeah. There
right?
is a balance for sure.
Diluting it. We're
Yeah.
diluting it now. We
Yeah.
don't want to dilute it. AI is amazing. I love AI. We use it every day. But
Yeah.
there's a
It's
there's
great.
a point where there's a hard stop, and we all have to recognize where that point is. When it starts to dilute the authenticity, just back off because
Yeah.
it's not, and it's going to take away from the magic.
It needs to make your life easier for sure, but it needs to still be you. It needs to still sound like you. So that's
Yes.
critical. Um, yeah, I mean, look at us making automations and AI and funnels sound sexy.
Yeah. I think they really are though. But then again, I mean, that's me and I'm a little bit crazy that way, but I think that they are amazing. I think that look, these are just mechanisms and tools that we use to connect to our audience
Yeah,
in a way that we could never do it 10
yeah,
years ago.
yeah. Well, it was a lot harder 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, And I think it's like it's just such a perfect time for women to slide in to this opportunity and start building their business because it takes so little to get it off the ground. It takes so little to make it happen, and then it's yours. And one of the things I keep hearing actually over and over with the women that I talk to in our discovery calls is they're exhausted. They're tired of being defined by everyone else around them, right? They're tired of being his wife, his partner, their mom, their sister, their colleague. It's like they just want to exist in and of themselves. They want to be sovereign. And for too long, women have been identified by who they are to other people. That's one thing. And the other thing is that women have such a tendency to just overgive, burn themselves out, and give themselves away in such a way that they never take something for themselves that allows them to make their own sense and meaning of the world. And so, I mean, really, building a business for a woman is an existential experience. It's not just a profit model. It's not just a way to make some extra cash. It's not actually a way to exist in the world. And that couldn't be more critical. And I'm so glad that we have the tech and the systems today to be able to support women in doing that.
And like I gotta say too, like it's a massive advantage. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
just like when you talk about like, women have a natural tendency to overgive.
Yeah.
Most of my conversations with my clients are me telling, basically yelling at them that they're not giving enough, right? They're not
Yeah. Women don't
delivering
have that
enough of the,
problem. I never have to yell at them. I'm always like, oh
right.
my God, can you not give away the farm? That's
But
not a
these are
lead magnet. That's an
advantages.
entire course. You
These
know?
are advantages, right, that come naturally that I think that you have to embrace it as well. And I think maybe too, women have been conditioned to not appreciate or to think that this is a drawback, right?
Well,
Or
we
maybe they've been
also have
taken
an
advantage
experience of
of so
being
much.
taken advantage of, right?
Yeah.
Like just because we give it all away, people definitely take it all from us. So I do a lot of coaching around a woman standing in her worth, a woman being in her value, yes, giving away in order to create that receptive energy. But holding that line of like not giving away the farm, I'm not into that. You know, I spent 20 years in the yoga and spirituality industries where it's not just to give yourself away, but it's the spiritual and correct thing to do to be free and not charge your stuff. So people would get so angry at me when I would charge anything. And, you know, it's yoga. It should just be spiritual and in service. I'm like, yeah, okay, but then how do I pay my rent? I'm not living on
Yeah.
an ashram, you guys.
Right.
You know, the ashram isn't supporting me. I have to support myself. This is the
Mhm.
exchange. So, you know, I will always advocate for a woman charging for sure. But yes, there is a balance of giving some things away, showing up for your audience, being present for them, making sure they understand who you are, what you do, who you serve, and that's what's going to call them in to your deeper work.
Yeah, I mean, it goes. We're gonna come right back to it. It's about recognizing the value
Yeah,
of your transformation.
yeah,
There's nothing like you're not going to convince me to go take a yoga class. Now, if it's if you say, oh, it'll be a fun afternoon, you might like it, give it a try, and it's only, so much money. And I'm like, all right, I'll go do it. It's cheap. What have I got to lose? But if you present it as a transformation, if you say like for instance, like someone's thinking about they want to quit smoking,
yeah,
if you can wrap your yoga around this is a segue to you giving up cigarettes.
right.
Your body will naturally want to reject it. You won't have the cravings anymore, right? That's just one example, and maybe is a stupid example of what yoga can provide a result, a
Yeah,
transformation. Because
that's a
now
great
think
example,
about
actually.
what will someone pay to quit smoking? Quite a lot.
Right.
They don't they won't
And
pay
by
for
any
yoga.
means necessary. They don't even care
That's
how. They just want the
right.
result.
Right. They'll slap
Yeah.
a $100 patch on their arm. They're going to spend $100 a week on patches or $200 a month on gum.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is expensive
Because
gum, isn't it?
it's very expensive
I
from
was
what I
never a smoker, so I
remember.
never went down this road, but
I was never a smoker.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm completely adverse to smoking. I don't like it. No.
My
I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I smoke a
Did you
cigar
just
every now
drop
and then.
irony into our live right
I
now?
did. I did. I did.
Wow. Thank you.
But I don't consider myself a smoker.
You're so funny.
Is that crazy or what?
It's nuanced. We'll call it nuanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandfather smoked for 60 years. He started when he was 12.
Yeah.
And at the age of 72, I used to spend a lot of time with my grandparents, and he smoked like a chimney all day long. And my hair was really long at the time, and my mother came to pick me up, and she looked at him and she said, I'm not going to bring my daughter back here because every time she comes, I have to wash her hair 3 times because it picks up all the smoke smell, and she's coughing and she smells like smoke. I'm not going to bring her back here unless you quit. And after 60 years, he quit cold turkey just with the threat of not being able to hang out with me in his house again.
There
That's
you go.
motivating.
Yeah. She sold him some transformation.
Yeah, she did. She
Some
sure did.
reverse
Yeah.
transformation.
Yeah, little bit reverse, a little bit from the negative perspective, but it did
Yeah.
work. We tend to go from the more positive perspective. So, you know, we give people easy ways to build memberships. We give them pathways to build coaching funnels. We give them templates for building their landing pages. We try to make it as easy as possible because we know how hard it is when you don't have that leg up. And especially coming from both Aaron and I, having done this for so long and been successful at it, you know, we know it works. Like we're not gonna BS you.
No, and it's the feeling. Well, I should not everybody, gets the feelings that I get when I get in there and customize a funnel.
No, no, but boy, you know, we sure love those feelings for you, Aaron. I love the mornings when Aaron calls me and he's so excited. He's like, "Oh my God, guess what new thing Go High Level just added to their package? They can do email warm-ups now." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. That's so exciting."
Yeah, there's a nerdy aspect to all of this
Hmm.
that definitely attracts me. But it's a there's no other space in my life where I can both be an artist and analytical all at the same time.
That's a great way to put it.
because I'm terrible. I can't draw to save my life.
Yeah.
Um, but man, you give me an hour on
Numbers
Canva.
and data.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me dig in and look at the math behind some creatives that
Yeah.
someone has done, and I'll reverse engineer that shit and hop on Canva, and I'm like Bob Ross. Maybe I'll put a
You
little
are. You're like the
put a
Bob
little
Ross of the
tag
digital
right
marketing
over
world.
here.
God, that's great.
I should do that. I should do like a mock um like Bob Ross style class on building funnels where I'll talk just like him and go through step by step, and I'll spend 3 hours on a landing page,
Hmm.
building it out.
Yeah, I can't tell whether I should cheer this along for you or be like,
I mean, nobody's gonna watch it,
cool.
but
No.
a lot of the stuff I do is just for my own humor that no one else is going to appreciate nor understand. And
Oh, Aaron, I appreciate you. I do.
okay.
All right, so why don't we give some sort of highlights for our audience who are watching or listening or checking us out? Um, because we've got our, what is it? Cocktails and cash flow. And I think the highlight that we really wanted to focus on today is how to sell without selling, how to really showcase what you do and who you work with and how you transform them based on your own level of authenticity. And this bro marketing stuff just is not required. You don't need to be wearing your fancy shoes in some fancy city, skipping down the street with a high production value to really get your message across. And the systems and the platforms and the methods that we have are so accessible for everybody. And all you need is your little corner of the world. This was something I was talking about. The other day with one of my clients, she was so nervous. She's like, well, nobody around here will pay me that. She wants to create a coaching funnel. And I said, yeah, but they don't have to be around there. They don't have to be around there. She's in a small town USA. And I'm like, when you do this, you have access to the whole world. And if you message it right, and if you get yourself out there the right way through social media or advertising or whatever you're doing, then all you need is to be clear about your messaging and find that one person. Find that one person, and they could be in Timbuktu across the country, and they're the one who needs exactly what you have to say, exactly what you have to present, and they're the one who's going to say yes to your high ticket coaching system that you present to them at $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. You make that one yes every month, twice a month. You know, I find that I actually boldly usually ask women in calls with them, what do you need every month? What do you actually need to make?
Mhm.
And the answers are always fascinating. They kind of like, I had one the other day. She sat back and she goes, thank you for asking me that. And I said, absolutely. I cannot wait to hear your answer. And she goes, well, I don't want to be selfish. And I said, oh, no, 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 girl. I said, it's not about being selfish. It's about claiming your worth. And if you're making that much money, imagine how much value you're putting out into the world. So name it. What's your monthly net? Like, what do you want to make? And she's like, just to scrape by. I said, no. What do you want to make? And
Mhm.
she got a deep breath. $10,000 a month. I said, that's it? And she goes, well,
Mhm.
well, I said, well, okay, let's start there. That's what you named. She goes, I can't even imagine making that. I said, fine. I said, let's imagine it. So we talked it through, and really, one high ticket coaching funnel, sell it twice,
Yeah.
and you've got it. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be that hard. You don't have to slave away all day, every day. It's
Yeah.
possible. And that's the power of your pitch. That's the power of being authentic. That's the power of selling it clearly, of knowing exactly who you serve, the system that you have. Boom.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because again, you're focusing and drop back again on transformation,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
amount that people will pay for that transformation.
Yeah.
And back when I was in the agency world or high ticket consulting, um, the very first thing that I would always ask people is, who do you want to work with?
Yeah.
Who? And then how are you going to help them?
Yep.
How are you going to transform them? And sometimes, you listen to what they say and you're like, okay, the problem with that is you're going after people that don't have any money. Um, so we want to make sure that whatever the transformation is, that the value behind that transformation is so big that there is an ocean of people out there that we
Yeah.
know can afford it
You
and
know,
will happily pay for it.
it's interesting that you say that actually, because I know to the core of my bones and in my own experience and with the women that I work with that you don't need the money. You will find it. If the transformation, if the thing
Yeah.
that is being presented is so absolutely necessary for you,
Mhm.
most of the women I talk to aren't sitting around with thousands of dollars in their pockets.
Right.
But when they recognize, like, holy shit, building this
Mhm.
business is how I get out of that scarcity cycle, this is
Right.
my pathway to
Yeah.
not being broke anymore, they borrow the
Mhm.
money. They put it on a credit card.
Mhm.
They create a payment plan. I did the same thing. I mean, back in 2016, when I was scrambling, I think I've told this story before. When I was scrambling with my business, I was launching every month because I didn't know how to do the marketing. I didn't
Mhm.
have any evergreen systems set up. I had no idea how to make money every month. The most I'd ever made was like, I think I made $3,000 or $5,000 one month, and that was
Yeah.
incredible. And I was
Mhm.
5 months behind on rent, and I listened to a podcast with a business coach who basically named the exact solution to the exact problem I was having. And I went, oh my gosh, I've got to find this woman. I hunted her down.
Yeah.
I booked a call with her. And at the end of the call, she said, I can absolutely help you with this problem. We're going to work together for 8 weeks, and that will be $8,000, please, right now. And I said, right now? She goes, yeah, right
Right.
now. Like I close on the call. And
Yeah.
I said, I don't have that. Like I'm 5 months behind on rent. The most I've ever
Mhm.
made in an entire month was 5 grand or something. And she goes,
Mhm.
well, I never do this, but I'm going to give you 24 hours to think about it. And I found
Mhm.
the money and I borrowed it. And within 8 weeks, with that level of investment, I knew this was either going to make or break me. And 8 weeks later, my business was rolling along at 25 grand a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the power of transformation. I don't name that story to show off. I didn't have anything
Right.
special over anybody else. But I see this even with the women that I work with. Like when they are like, okay, this is the solution to my problems. This is how I finally reclaim my space in the world. This is how I finally put my work out there. This is how I finally create financial sovereignty so I can leave my relationship, so I can be with my family, so I can stop making money for other people. This is how I do it. And yes, it's going to be hard. And yes, it might be expensive. And maybe I don't have the money right now, but I will. And I'm going to buy into that vision. I'm going to buy into that transformation. I'm going to buy into the thing that I know will save my ass, and I'll do whatever it takes.
Yep. Yep. You have to be convinced that the transformation is there and that
Hmm.
it's worth it. And like it's not an expense.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
Ooh, good
Right.
one. Good one, Aaron.
Well, I mean, and that's, well, look, I come from the ads agency space where it's like people often have it confused and they're thinking about, oh, I have to put this much money on Google ads and I have to put
Right.
this much money into Facebook ads. And they think about it from an expense point of view.
Right.
But as soon as you flip that around in your mind and, and also you're setting the stage for expectations, right?
Right.
Like you could go hire somebody on Upwork for $10 an hour to do your ad campaigns, right? Like
Right.
literally what we sold in our ad agency, anybody could go to Upwork and hire somebody to do the work for $10 an hour. And we're seven to $15,000 a month.
Right.
Why? Because well, number one, we delivered real transformation. We weren't doing the work. We were leveraging our experience and we went at it from the point of view of we're not button clickers. Like our job isn't to build your campaign, right? We're like day traders, right? Our job is to take your money and invest it. And for every dollar that we put in, our job is to get a dollar plus back.
Back. Right.
And when we're not doing that, we're failing at our job.
Right.
So when you create that expectation and you get that expectation right in the client's mind, of what they're actually doing. This isn't, oh, I need to set aside $10,000 a month for Google. No, you need to hold Google accountable. You need to hold your media buyers accountable to make sure that if you put in a dollar, you better be getting a dollar point five back real quick and
At the very
hopefully a
least.
lot more
Right.
down the road,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it is an investment. It's a thing, it's like, especially when you're building a business, right? It's a thing that you do once. I mean, that's another great thing
Mhm.
about online business, right? There's a lot of front loading. There's a lot of putting the work in up front. Like you got to build all of the content. You got to build all the emails or the automations. You got to put all the work in, all of the stuff right now. But then once all those automations and funnels are set, it just returns dividends,
Yeah.
And there's a point at which you can kind of just relax. It's passive-ish, right, Aaron?
Yeah,
Eventually, it's passive-ish. You still have to work, but you're not building anymore.
I'm so tired of people like that don't understand the definition of passive income. It's like it's passive doesn't mean we don't do anything. Okay? Like
Right.
we're gonna do something.
We're gonna do stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna put in, but what it means is you're not working 8, 10 hours a day every
Yeah.
single day. It means
Yeah.
sometimes with passive income means every once in a while you can go decide to sit on the beach and drink a pina colada at Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. And it's no longer trading time for money because that's a
No.
huge source of burnout and it's not
Mhm.
scalable.
No, no, nope. You don't. No, uh, you don't charge for your time. You charge for your experience.
Right.
That's where you start making a lot more money as you recognize, okay, my experience is worth a lot more than the hour. Like don't try to break down my fees based on how many hours I actually work. That's not
Right.
fair,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay, it's the experience. It's like hiring a lawyer. If you're facing life in prison,
Oh my God. I was married to one of those. I don't recommend it.
I
Stay away.
have
Sorry for any of the lawyers watching or listening.
I have a
Um,
love-hate relationship with
yeah.
lawyers because I've worked with so many
Right.
that are absolute divas and a pain in the ass. And then there's been like two or three that I had really good relationships, and actually like one of my best clients ever. I love the dude, and he's a lawyer. He's just a good dude.
Totally. There's good people everywhere. And I think that we should make sure that we help them, especially the ladies, at least on our end.
For sure.
Well, Erin, is there anything else we should um, cocktail and cash flow with our audience today before
Yeah,
we
I
wrap?
mean, I think we kind of hit everything that we were going to talk about. And I'd
Yeah.
love to really get in deep, but I think that that's all that we can really do on these lives is kind of give the 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, if you really want to see, how this is all done, then come into our community and
Yeah.
experience it firsthand, see what it looks like from the inside and the real transformation that we deliver.
Absolutely. So you'll find us at satisfiedsuccess.com. And we offer a Satisfied Success Business Academy that is a membership right alongside our system. Because as a solo sailor, you should never go sailing alone. Always take someone with you. So while you do get the system that has all of the funnels and the back end build, it's essentially high level. What you're really getting is the membership with us, where we spend at least we go live at least once a week with our people. We answer their questions. We're in the membership with them. We're giving them feedback on their funnels, on their emails, on their landing pages. We're creating a supportive space for our women so that they feel held and nurtured along their journey toward building their sovereign business. So that's what we do. We're passionate about it. We're happy to be here with you. And for those of you watching the live or the replay, please leave a comment for us and let us know if there's anything else we can share about building a really powerful business for yourself, monetizing your magic, being able to work from home, being scalable, stopping trading time for money, any of that stuff. Give us some stuff to share with you and talk about in the future, and we'll look forward to how we can serve you best.
Sounds good. I'll cheers to that.
Cheers, everybody. All right, take care. Bye.